Good morning and welcome. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike. We kick off the day with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation also for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. We're very so honored to have with us, joining us via Zoom, Emeka Madunagu, journalist, public affairs analyst. Thank you so very much, Emeka, for being here.
Yes, my pleasure. Good morning.
All right, good. So let's just kick start with the Daily Trust newspaper. And the big story here: flood residents resist evacuation and seeking help. Defection push APC membership to 68 in the Senate and 207 in the House of Reps. And this is, I guess, satisfactory to the president, who had given his people the mandate to sweep them clean, and that is exactly what is happening in the House of Representatives. But let's take a look at all the matters here. Money my husband kept in for Nigeria vanished. Mariam Abacha. Emeka Madunagu, how the twist in life, you know, it was so very touchy when I watched the viral video interview of Mariam Abacha when she was, of course, remembering the death of her husband 27 years after. Can you speak to me on this particular fact that she said that the money the husband left for Nigeria vanished? At the same time, we still keep having delivery of Abacha's loot from different parts of the world.
Thank you very much. Of course, it is always convenient, you know, in Nigeria, for people to try to rewrite history, to twist the narrative, because, you know, some of the dramatic personae to a matter, you know, are no longer alive. You saw what former head of state, General Ibrahim.
Are you there? All right, we're having a little bit of a glitch there, a network glitch. We're still talking about, you know, what's happening from our newspapers, and particularly we were looking at the Daily Trust, where we have it that the money my husband kept for Nigeria suddenly vanished, and that's coming from Mariam Abacha. What the twist you would call that, and one would wonder, what money exactly is she talking about? Is it the money that the husband had taken to different parts of the world that is returning back to Nigeria? Or what money exactly are we talking about here? We still have Emeka Madunagu, and we'll be right back after this short break. Please don't go anywhere.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth. Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Very much for being back. So just before we had that little technical glitch, we were speaking to the issue of Mariam Abacha, the wife of late General Sani Abacha, who was stating that the husband had left so much money in Nigeria, but that vanished, and we're doing that with Emeka Madunagu. So Emeka, you were saying something before we had that little break.
Yeah, I said the husband brought misery and pain to Nigerians. He was the one that led Nigeria into sanctions, you know, because he refused to install Chief MKO Abiola, who rightly won the June 12, 1993 election, a presidential election. And then, you know, the sanctions pushed inflation rate to 76%. The first time in the history of Nigeria. Since then, we've never approached that, you know. And so he was also all the while, you know, busy doing what they liked with our oil receipts, because even though there were sanctions on Nigeria, but we never stopped selling crude oil, our mainstay, you know, the mainstay of our economy and our chief export, you know. So he kept, you know, funneling this money through, the international settlement system, funneling this money to accounts in different countries. And then these were not, Nigeria has foreign reserve, but he didn't save the money in Nigeria's foreign reserve. So how could the widow be saying money he saved for Nigeria? He stole Nigeria's money. It's as simple as Abacha was a thief, a kleptocrat of that people, unlike people had ever seen in the history of this country. Because even, his level of kleptocracy forced Western nations to adopt anti-money laundering guidelines, and it was estimated what was traced was about $5 billion. A lot more remains untraced till today. So, but all the money that has been brought to Nigeria, of what value has it been? Of what value has it really been? Of what real value has it been? Because, at the time this money was stolen from Nigeria, if it had been put into roads, put into healthcare, put into the economy, if it had been used to build up SMEs, and if he had allowed MK Abiola to come in, Nigeria would have been saved the ugly specter of sanctions. So you can see how they are trying to revise history, just like Babangida did the other day when he blamed Abacha for the annulment of June 12th, which Abacha's widow has said he had no hand in. So you can just see that all that is just lies, because the accounts to which this money has been, the money Abacha stole have been traced, were not accounts opened in the name of Nigeria. The woman needs to be educated by people who understand better about their Abacha loot, as it has been derisively called. She needs to be better educated. They were not Nigeria's foreign accounts. We hold accounts with JP Morgan, Chase, and maybe one or two other banks. But you can see the banks were as far as New Jersey, different islands across the world. And the tracing is still going on, because the Nigerian government retained the services of various international lawyers, to help to trace the loot. And the tracing is still going on. The family is also still in the Supreme Court, trying to get some money they claim legitimately belongs to them, returned to them. So I think we should take note of the fact that, this dangerous posture in Nigeria for trying to rewrite history, to revise history, should be resisted at all costs. Thank you.
Very, very true, Emeka. You did mention Sani Abacha is a kleptocrat. Unfortunately, what we have in Nigeria since then has been what other people have equally referred to as a subtle kleptocracy in government, right? Since from then. The daughter actually said that what she actually wrote just to speak to the issue was, "Daddy, since you left, Nigeria has become worse." Of course, it is glaring, Emeka, but what do you think the current leadership can learn from the lessons of General Sani Abacha, so we won't have, in the next 27 years, having another first lady speaking to the issue like we have today with Mariam Abacha?
No, the issue is very simple. Abacha never worked in Nigeria's interests. And so what we need is a political class that is responsible and patriotic. A political class that does not see the treasury as a personal property. But sadly, Abacha was even before him, we had kleptocrats. Even after him, we've had kleptocrats. People who have mindlessly stolen the country's money. Even people who told us that the money found in their accounts was from gifts. Different styles of stealing. People, you see governors building roads to nowhere, bridges that are even defective, and they claim a lot of money for them, claim a lot of money for airports, for defective schools. They just go paint schools, paint some existing schools and tell you they built, international standard schools. They tell you about feeding feeding school children. But it's all a scam. There's nothing to be seen from all of these things. So look at all the projects. We have thousands of abandoned projects in Nigeria. Who did all those things? They are successive rulers. Yeah, Abacha's daughter saying that Nigeria has got worse. Yes. I mean, her father led the way in some of these things, because some of the characters you have in government today were actually associates of Abacha. Some of them were actually in some of those political parties, what the late Chief Bola Ige described as the 5 fingers of a leprous hand. You can see what is going on in Nigeria today. It's the same Abacha script that President Bola Tinubu is playing, trying to railroad Nigeria into a one-party state, trying to get all the parties to endorse him. But you see, the point is that the power of the people, is greater than the people in power. And always the people will triumph. It seems President Tinubu has not learned the lessons of history, that you cannot, whimsically twist the political choices of the people and crown yourself as an emperor. We thought that with advances in technology, in science, and all of that, that the politicians we have in Nigeria today will be more enlightened, more exposed. But what we've seen is that, we've seen people who are just stuck in the medieval thoughts, stuck in self-aggrandizement, stuck in self-glorification. People for whom lying has become an art, has become a daily routine. People who don't care about democracy, about the damage they're doing to democracy. And that's why you see them moving about with so many security men, because they know within them that they are unfit to be in those offices. They know they are misfits. They know they have no legitimate claim to those offices. And that is why, the INEC and judiciary have become complicit. They have become accomplices in eroding democracy in Nigeria. But I believe one day, very soon, we will be rid of these characters. Yes. And we'll have a virile democratic culture.
Very true. We sincerely hope so, because of when we have a virile democratic culture, it's good for everybody. But let's take a look at other matters here. Sorry for that. Another Tinubu's aide resigns. And we can see the back and forth, the ping pong going on in the current administration. One person leaving the ruling party, another person coming into the ruling party. I would love you to speak to this, especially another Tinubu's aide resigns, but at the same time, our very good friend Segun Showomi, whom we thought was on the side of the people, a very big critic of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, just similar to Daniel Bwala. He was at the edge, spewing so much against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He spoke on the nepotism of the administration. He spoke on lots of things about the administration. But suddenly, we see a Segun Showomi who is slowly but surely dancing to the tune of "On Your Mandate We Shall Stand." How do you speak to this matter?
Segun Showomi is my friend. You'll be surprised. He's my friend. But I've never rated him. I've always seen that, I've always seen him as somebody who is very heavy on commentary, but poor on principles. And I'm not surprised. In fact, he even wasted so much time showing, what a chameleon he is. Honestly speaking, I'm not disappointed, because I knew, having close to him, we've appeared on TV programs, we've shared thoughts on Nigeria's democracy, but I never had that conviction that this guy, that this guy was serious. And that's what you see in Nigerian politics today. You just see a lot of merchants, traders, people who want to be heard so that they can be fed. And that's the sad thing. Segun Showomi by no means is not a poor man by any means, but of course, because their tastes are so high, they are more than what they can earn legitimately. Yeah. And so, look at him shamelessly. It's such a shame. I felt so ashamed for him. Why would you shamelessly be begging for an appointment? at his age, at his level in life, saying if President Tinubu gives me an appointment, I will accept. It's shameful. There are ways to couch, to couch those things that you are shamefully looking for. You don't have to tell the world that if Tinubu gives you, that is what you are doing is dog whistling. You are telling Tinubu, please, so I'm available for an appointment. Just after one young lad, Aliu Audu, resigned and said that he wasn't happy with Tinubu's romance with Nyesom Wike, the FCT Minister, and that also he wasn't happy with Tinubu's desire for Nigeria to be a one-party state. Somebody said that on the same day, Shegun showed me, look at the rubbish he was saying. Well, I give it to him that, of course, he has crossed the Rubicon of shame. And then but honestly speaking, there are certain things that some of us, by the grace of God, have, been able to restrain ourselves from, and by the grace of God, we'll continue to restrain ourselves from. Thank you.
Very, very true, Emeka, because I was very surprised when he said so. And it's so surprising that gradually we're beginning to lose the dissent voices that used to be on the side of the people, and everyone falling towards the ruling party. It's actually a very disturbing issue to our democracy in Nigeria. But one will, of course, keep digesting that.
Let me just quickly.
Please do.
Let me quickly add something.
Yes.
You see, what is the salary of all these guys? What's the likely salary? What's the salary likely to get? Maybe 1.5 million, maybe 2 million or so. But the thing is, they're getting contracts. You see these guys, they go from office to office, from ministry to ministry, begging for contracts. So it's not as if they can depend on their salary because they have high taste. But if you remember that a former member of the National Assembly, Ibn Allah, actually said that many former members of the National Assembly cannot feed their families. They cannot send their children to school. So that tells you that, you see, people should learn to be contented. Even the Holy Bible says that godliness with contentment is great gain. People should learn to be contented. People should learn to measure their expectations. People should learn to manage their expectations. Because Tinubu cannot be there forever. So you should know that whatever you illicitly acquire, it will disappear. So when you cannot honorably find other streams of income, streams of income that you can engage in without having to mortgage your conscience, without having to sell your pride, then it shows that you are just to be pitied. And that is the situation with Shegun Shomi and all of these other fellows. Renan Mokri, Dambuala, all of them. Did you see any intellectual content in the things they say? You don't see any intellectual content. They just rabble. They just rabble up and down. You don't see anything. Of course, people should not take. And let me tell you, there are still voices speaking for the people.
Okay.
Forget about all these characters. It's just that the media chooses to give them space. But everybody has space. Once you have your phone, your social media, you can actually show the world the content in you. That you are more than just a container of rubbish. That you're not a container of rubbish. That you have content that speaks to development, speaks to democracy, speaks to values.
Very, very true, Emeka. We can't overstate, some of these things. But let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper for today. And our last story here is Wike Rallies PDP stakeholders in Abuja high stakes meeting. Emeka, I would love you to speak to this because the confusion is bewildering. And one would ask, where are we really going to? How can we be so manipulated that it's difficult for people to understand why Wike, who is a big stakeholder with the APC, is still trying to control the PDP he doesn't have interest in. How did we get it this bad in our political setup in Nigeria that it is now a free-fall activity for everyone? No rule and regulations any longer. What is happening?
It has always been like that. We just refuse to pay heed. That's always been like that. Many of these fellows have been, PDP by day, APC by night. That is it. That's Nigerian politicians for you. That's why you have delinquents. Nigerian politicians are generally delinquents. No principles, no values, no honor. So you just see, Wike, of course, for many of them, it's transactional. Now, policy is transactional. It's not about development. Wike is telling you that he's commissioning projects and all of that in Abuja. But go and check the state of the public schools in the satellite towns. Even the health centers and hospitals. Go and check. What are they all looking like? So it tells you that these people are just a funny set of people. They have no message. They have no agenda other than about themselves. Look at when they were in power. It was just about elitism. I'm surprised that people are expecting President Bola Tinubu, to think about the people. Tinubu's government in Lagos was elitist. It was never about the people. Never. Elitist. It was never about the people. Whether Tinubu, whether Fashola, whether Ambode, even Sanwo-Olu, it's always been about the elite. And that's what Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, was saying. That, Tinubu's government has been about the rich. Once you are rich, they bring you in. So it's not about the poor. But the sad thing, the painful thing is that you see poor people defending these fellows. And that is the sad thing in Nigeria. People who cannot feed, you see them defending the policies of this government. And I wonder. I used to look at somebody, one old man, one elderly man, the way he was defending Buhari every time, defending Buhari. And this is somebody where he lives, the community where he lives, where you say pay money. I don't get money. I'm a retired old man. But look at this man. So you just find out that many of these people are just in self-induced ignominy. And that is what is happening with Wike. Undermining PDP, for APC. But let me tell you something. What goes around will come around.
Definitely.
APC is going to unravel. Just give it a matter of time. Even before the 2027 election, APC is going to disintegrate. It's going to unravel. Because you've brought in people from PDP now, and the very people who have been working for the party, for the APC, you are sidelining them. Of course, they're not going to take it lying down now. They're not going to take it lying down. So I pity the members of the National Assembly who are rushing, who are defective, because no automatic tickets will be given to them. Many of them are not going to get return tickets. I can assure them of that. They won't get return tickets. Even the governors, some of them are not going to return. Yes, because they are actually not defecting on principle or because they feel that APC is better. They are actually defecting because there's so much baggage. There's so much baggage around them. And then they are now trying to find a way to negotiate their way away from prosecution. And so these are the things that will be used against them. So they won't have any gumption or the courage to say, no, I deserve the ticket. They're going to be disappointed. I can bet them that, because this is the Nigerian politics I've been following for so many years, for almost 4 decades. So I know, more than 4 decades. So I know how these things always pan out.
Turn around.
Thank you.
Very, very true, Emeka. People would call that delusional hubris, where people know the truth but wouldn't want to accept the truth. And when that is obtainable, what we would see is an implosion that would come from different sides. And I truly do hope that this won't be what Nigerians would see, but at the same time, that cannot happen only when those in power are intentional about that. Thank you so very much, Emeka. Just to let you know that Emeka will be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Messi. When we return, Ndume rejects Tinubu's 2027 endorsement, cites Jonathan's 2015 loss. That in a bit is still Enterprise Morning. Please don't go in.